Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Guys, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Jenny.
You know, it is a great day on this show when we get to talk about the greatest quarterback in pro football history, and we also get to talk about the guy who keeps trying to convince the world that he's the greatest basketball player.
He is, Ryan. He
that
did
guy, that phony goat.
Did you not just watch 2 weeks ago?
No, what happened?
You know what happened. Finals MVP.
It's all a fog to me.
There you go. Okay, Pat Riley, asterisk.
Yeah, we'll talk about
No
that.
asterisk for any championship on my watch. Shannon was leading the parade, so he knows very well. But we do have to talk about Tom Brady, because Tom Brady is doing Brady things while the Patriots are coming off their worst home loss of the Bill Belichick era, with their offense struggling to put up points as they fell to 2-4 in their first season without Tom Brady. One league exec even made an interesting comparison in The Athletic, saying, quote, Phil Jackson was a great coach, but it turns out it really does matter if Michael Jordan is there. In this analogy, Michael Jordan is now the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who sit at 5-2 and look like the best team in the NFC. Skip, you've been saying for 4 years on Undisputed that Brady deserves 75% of the credit for the Brady-Belichick dynasty, while Bill deserves 25%. So, Shannon, is Brady proving now that he was more valuable than Belichick?
No, so we're basically ending the debate after 7 games. So that's it.
It's over.
So Coach Belichick, so let's just say for the sake of argument, down the road, Coach Belichick wins a Super Bowl, wins 2. So what, do we rekindle the debate?
Do you like your odds?
Yeah, I like my odds.
Okay.
I'm not betting against Coach Belichick, Skip. Look, if you really look at it, if we break this down, here's what Brady is as a starting quarterback this year. He's 22nd in completion percentage. He's 21st in yards per attempt. He's 16th in QBR.
Yeah.
But he's 6th in pass attempts. Those are very pedestrian numbers, except the pass attempts. So let's not gloss over that fact, Skip. We're not saying, look, we understand what transcendent and historically great quarterbacks have meant. Not just to the Patriots, but to every organization. Because more times than not, Skip, you're not going to go from Joe Montana to Steve Young. You're not going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. More times than not, you go from Terry Bradshaw, and then you wait 2 decades before you get a Ben Roethlisberger. Or you wait, Dan Marino retires in 2000, and you got to wait until 2020 until you possibly got a Tua. That's what normally happens. So am I surprised that they're struggling this bad? Yes. But did I expect them to pick right up? And like Tom left, and they're going to be the same 12-4, 13-3 teams? No, I did not. But also, you got to look at, what does he got? Tom Brady started 19 seasons in New England. 16 of those times, he had a top 10 defense. What does he have in Tampa right now, Skip, as we speak?
What? He's got himself, and he's going to be the MVP of the league.
No. That's not what I asked.
Oh.
Tom Brady started 19 seasons in New England. 16 of those 19 starting seasons, he had a top 10 defense. I want to ask you again, I'll rephrase it another way. What is it that Tom Brady has on the defensive side of the football in Tampa this year?
He chose Tampa because he knew Tampa had a better defense than Belichick ran out there over the last 8 games last year when they were below average.
So in other words, to make a long story short, in 20 seasons as a starting quarterback, Tom Brady is about to have another top 10 defense, which would be 17 in 20 years. Also, when people start to say, well, Mahomes is doing this, Mahomes is doing that, everybody says, well, look at those weapons. Not one time has anybody talked about Chris Godwin or Mike Evans or Gronk, or they got the 4th leading rusher in all of football. So we're just going to make it seem like that's all Tom Brady, that he does not have pieces around him. I'm not going to minimize what Tom Brady's doing. Tom Brady is playing better than I thought he would, earlier than I thought he would. That can't be disputed. But Skip, let's not just do this right now, because nobody said, I didn't see Mike Sando's piece in week 1 or week 2. I noticed this piece only came in the last 2 weeks. I also noticed that everybody's writing, Since week 3, Tom Brady has this many touchdowns, this few interceptions. So this is what I'm going to do moving forward. Since the age of 42, Shannon Sharp has been the best citizen in America. I'm going to disregard the previous 42 years. I'm only going to take the last decade. They've never done that before in the history of football. When you talk about a historically great quarterback, take the weeks that he played bad and only do the weeks that he did good. So moving forward, Skip Bayless, I don't want you to look about anything that happened before I was the age of 42. Since then, the last decade, Shannon Sharp has been exemplary.
Really? I'm not sure about exemplary.
Yeah, you
for the
are
last
sure
10
about
years.
that.
I might put a microscope on exemplary. Okay, it is now my turn.
It's your turn.
The man is at it again. Right before your very eyes, Tom Brady is exposing Bill Belichick for what he is and always was. He was always a pretty good football coach, very good on defense, but overall just pretty good because for 5 years he was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. And help me out, what happened? Not much.
He did win a playoff game, though, Skip.
But 4 of those years, he missed the playoffs. He went a grand total of 36 wins and 44 losses, and after 5 years got fired in Cleveland. He then went to New England, and the first year he went 5-11, and the second year started off 0-2. And I know for sure from one of the assistant coaches on his staff in 2001, that assistant coach was thinking about talking to a realtor and putting his home on the market in Foxborough because they doubted they would make it through that year before magic happened and the heavens opened and into their laps fell a 6th-round draft pick named Tom Brady, who took over for Drew Bledsoe off of an unfortunate, thank to Mo Lewis. And the rest is NFL history.
It is.
So when Tom Brady took over that year in 2001 in week 3, Bill Belichick's record as a head coach to that point was 41-57. That's 16 games under 500. I'm not saying that's exactly who he is now, but that gives you a pretty good idea of what Tom Brady did for him, because I always tell you, there is one man in sports I do not bet against. And now I told you going into this year, I definitely am not betting against a Tom Brady who's got his mad on for Bill Belichick, who is driven to prove Bill Belichick wrong. And is he ever off to the races? Because he is not only proving that he was by far more valuable than Bill Belichick through those 20 years in New England. I always put 75% on it. I'm creeping up toward 80% now. If you look at what happened, the dynasty was created and sustained in the largest part by Tom Brady, who slowly but surely, after taking over as a very young player, became the leader, the face of that franchise. I think he became the greatest leader in the history of sports because he had to become the buffer in that locker room for really about 18 years between the players and a Coach Belichick who led the league in negativity toward players. I believe he was a coach Shannon Sharp would not have lasted long under because the verbal abuse was over the edge. And the film study abuse, the group film sessions were completely over the line. But they always had Tom Brady in the locker room to say, hey, guys, it's okay. That's just the way he is, but we're going to be okay. We're going to win, basically, in spite of the head coach.
But Skip, as a leader, as a quarterback, that's half of his job. That's being proved out in Dallas. Everybody thinks it's all with Dak's production on the field. You don't realize off the field what role they play.
Okay, I agree with that. But the point is that he even took Belichick off the hook for dozens of personnel blunders, of draft misses, of free agent swings and misses. It just didn't matter. You could bring in any old cog on defense, and he is a very good defensive football coach. But you could bring in any old cog on offense, too, and you could put just a bunch of guys out at receiver, and Brady would figure out how to make it work. Because Tom Brady, with a bunch of Edelmans and Amendolas and Hogans, won 6 Super Bowls with 6 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter or overtime. That is outrageously off the charts great. And he also should have won a 7th Super Bowl in the first Eli Super Bowl because he did what he always does. He drove him down 75 yards in 12 plays, hit Randy Moss for what looked like it was going to be the game-winning touchdown with 2 minutes remaining, and then Belichick's defense spit the bit again. And they get a pass for this. Belichick got a pass because Eli Manning took the Giants 83 yards in 12 plays and hit Plaxico with the game-winning touchdown. Okay, that wasn't Brady's fault. Again, you say, well, they only scored 14 points. Well, at least they scored enough that I thought they were going to win the football game. So I think Belichick cost him a 7th and then cost him an 8th for sure because he allowed, and we're going to talk about Nick Foles here in a few minutes, Bill Belichick allowed Nick Foles to hang 41 on his defense in a Super Bowl game.
But Skip, in the games that you say they lost, what about the games that they won that they could have lost? They could have lost that first one. They could have lost to Carolina. They could have lost to Seattle. So you just can't say, okay, yeah, he's 6-3 and he could have been 8-1. He also could have been 3-5. He could have easily been 4-5. So you just can't say take the losses and say they should be wins without saying the wins could have been losses.
Was he flawless in playing his part to set up the game-winning field goals in every situation we just talked about? Yes.
Skip, he was flawless in that situation, but he wasn't flawless up until those situations, in some of those situations.
In the fourth quarter against the Legion of Boom, he threw for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns to bring them from 24-14 down to the lead. And then I'll give you this, it's debatable about the last decision, the play called, but Russell Wilson threw a really good pass that hit Lockett, I thought, about right there, and it was the greatest break on a football by a cornerback I have ever seen.
Well, we see what Russell does in that stadium, so it's not very good.
Well, maybe that's the case. But there's stats in the Athletic article you referred to by Mike Sando about Josh McDaniels. If you look at his record with Tom Brady and without Tom Brady, it's just a joke what happened, because they are outrageously good with Tom Brady. They're averaging, with Josh McDaniels, with Brady, they averaged more points dating back to 2005 than any other team in the league, 27 points a game. And then without Tom Brady, when he's been a head coach other places, he's averaged 18 points a game. So, again, did Tom Brady get Josh McDaniels some jobs that he didn't deserve? Yeah.
He got a lot of people jobs.
Okay, yep.
He got Charlie Weiss the job. He got Bill O'Brien the job.
He did.
Those defensive
Romeo
coordinators,
Crennel,
Skip, they got jobs because of him.
All because of Tom Brady. And Shannon, what he is doing, and I'll give you this, just so far in Tampa, but that's the point. We're only 7 games in, and he's already recreating the Patriot way in Tampa.
Yes.
All of a sudden, they're playing the cleanest football in the league after that debacle on that Thursday night in Chicago, which they actually needed to get through. They lost 20-19.
Right.
And Brady got dinged at the end of the game, and you were all over ridiculing him about, where am I? And then what happened? Aaron Rodgers happened. And then what happened? At Raiders happened. And they're clean games with high touchdowns. He's now 15-1, 15 touchdowns to 1 interception over his last 5 games. And you can just see him recreating Patriots South in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And you see the numbers that he's putting up. They lead the league in point differential. That's outrageously good, because I remind you, they had no preseason games. They had to do mostly virtual OTAs. He had a brand new offense with a brand new coaching staff and brand new receivers who he barely knew. And look at him now. And they've been all beat to hell in their receiving core, like a lot of teams have, but he didn't have Chris Godwin for 3 games, and Mike Evans still doesn't look right. And Pro Football Focus concludes that he should be, Tom Brady, the MVP frontrunner. You threw those numbers at me, I'll throw these back at you. Do you realize that Tom Brady so far, in what they call big-time throws, he has 24 of those, including, I think, 3 more on Sunday at Raiders, to bring him to 24. That's first in the NFL. God, that's good. How about turnover-worthy plays by Tom Brady? He has only 3 all year, which is tied for first in the NFL. They rate him, in just their overall quarterback rating, 3rd best in the league right now. Is that good?
That's good.
And
But he's rated 3rd, though.
Their conclusion is there's no reason he shouldn't be considered a front runner for the 2020 NFL MVP.
Well, Skip,
wow.
We mentioned that yesterday. I believe he's in there. Russ opened the door and let a lot of other people, because Russ had the door closed. But he opened the door, and he allowed Brady to walk in. He allowed Rodgers to walk in. Mahomes has walked back in. I think, Ben was at the door knocking, and then he realized no one was home because those 3 interceptions really hurt. But, yes, he's going to be in the end, and he was always going to be in the end because of Tampa's record, considering what they were last year, the previous year, and what they were this year. Just like Peyton Manning, when he got there, although they won the division, they were 8-8. Skip, 8-8 is one thing winning division. You go 8-8 to 13-3, what Peyton did his first year, obviously. But the things, if you go back and look at it, you look at the teams that have won multiple MVPs in a short period of time. You look at the Steelers, they won 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. What did they have? Lights out, outstanding defense. You look at your Cowboys. Although the defense don't get credit, Skip, because they get big names on offense, the Irvins, the Smith, the Aikmans, you know their defenses were unbelievable.
Starting with Charles Haley. Yep.
You look at the 49ers, Skip. The 49ers defense don't get any credit. Skip, they were unbelievable in the 80s.
Totally agree.
So, in what Tom had in New England, although, Skip, they're not any big name. They didn't have an Aaron Donald or LT, or they didn't have anything like that. He had a lot of pieces that he could plug, and they played extremely well together.
Okay. So the point is, what this man is doing at 43 is so extraordinary because he's doing it so quickly. And here comes Antonio Brown. We're going to talk about him in just a few minutes. And it's now to the point that Mike Sando concludes in the piece that you brought up. Last line is, the Patriots could be just like a lot of other teams, scrapping it out from week to week, not quite sure what the future holds, but increasingly sure it won't come close to approximating the past.
No.
That's where we are right now with New England. And you can say it's too early to write them completely off, but you're seeing them get exposed as sort of just another team with just another pretty good coach who's trying from week to week to figure it out. And this piece points out that with Cam, he got off to a sensational start, and then the league said, as you know this league will do, timeout. Let's just load up that box because we still don't believe he can beat us with his arm consistently. Let's take the run completely away from him and from his team.
Right.
And then let's see what happens.
Because you don't have anybody that can win one-on-one consistently.
Okay. And now what's happening with Cam, do you realize over his last 10 games, he's 4 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. That dates back to obviously the Carolina when he was all beat to hell. But the point is, people are saying you can't beat us with your arm consistently. Right. He almost beat Seattle with his arm.
Correct.
But can you do it every game? Well, obviously the last couple, it could be a COVID reason.
Right.
I give you some pass for that one. But in the end, I just think the script has been flipped because now a lot of these anonymous quotes in the Sando piece are saying, hey, it actually comes down to Tom Brady could erase all those shortcomings and all those in-game problems. And there's no doubt that he could.
There's no question that a great quarterback is the greatest deodorant for anything that transpires on the team. He can cover up lack of talent on the offense. He can make amends and make atonement for bad defenses. There's no question about that. That's always been the case. And Tom Brady might be the greatest deodorant. But, Skip, as you mentioned, there's a culture. If you look at the Miami Heat, they don't have a D-Wade. They don't have a LeBron James, but they have a culture that's been established, okay? LeBron James took a lot of that culture that he learned and brought it other places. You look at when he went back to Cleveland, you look at what he's done in L.A. That's a culture thing. So what Tom Brady did is that he took what he learned in those 20 years in New England, and he brought that because he's the greatest guy to be able. I'm sure there are other guys, Skip, that played in that culture, that tried to go places, but they don't have that.
I agree.
So when you have that and you can go somewhere, he can set up shop anywhere and it'll work.
And you say, what's he have now? Top 5 defense, maybe a top 1 defense?
I think they're 8th in points and like 5th in yards.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Okay. But I had to sell you when Tom Brady shocked the NFL world by picking the Succaneers. I had to sell you on Todd Bowles' defense because I said, Shannon, look at what happened the last 4 or 5 games of last year when they went 7-9. They were a turnover machine because Jameis was a turnover machine. Yes. And yet, I said, that defense has front 7 talent.
Yes, yes.
And Todd Bowles is, for me, top 3 coordinator, defensive coordinator. He's not the greatest head coach, hasn't proven to be. Right. But when he's calling defense,
he keep calling defense like that, he gonna get another chance to be a head coach.
Well, you could argue, but you could also argue this is his calling. This is what he does greatest. And all of a sudden, because Brady's there, everybody on that field is saying, we got the GOAT. We got this. And the defense is playing at a higher level, and obviously the offense is. And all I know is that through 7 games last year, they had 17 turnovers. Now they have only 7. They are +5 in turnovers now. They were -5 a year ago at this point.
That's the huge difference.
That's it.
And the defense is not playing as much, so they're fresher, and they're getting after the quarterback. And when it's all said and done, Skip, look, let's not minimize Tom. Give Tom his credit. Tom has played well. But I do believe the defense giving him, because there are a lot of times, Skip, they're 3 and out. They're getting you up off the field. And so Tom is in a rhythm. It allows Tom to stay in a rhythm. And the one thing that you try to do when you're playing a guy like Tom, or you're playing a Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers, you want to keep their butt on the sideline as much as possible, Skip. You don't want to get, they score a touchdown. Okay, you come on the field and you go 3 and out, or you go 5 and out. And that guy's right back on the field? Well, you just let him get a rhythm. You just let him complete 8 passes and got right down the field. And that's what the mistake that the Raiders made. They let him get a rhythm, and guess what? He was right back on the field again, and boom, he blew the game wide open.
And he's saying to Belichick, hey, look what I can do when I have a little bit of talent around me.
Yeah, he might,
didn't have.
He might be doing a little kid. He might be got his tongue out at Coach Belichick behind.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Final quote from the Sando piece, again, anonymous from an evaluator. An NFL executive says, a lot of us were still thinking, oh, Bill's a genius and he's on top of everything. He's going to out-strategize you and outwork you and no days off. And I think that's just not how it works.
No.
Starts with the quarterback, especially if he's the greatest leader ever. And you lose that, you've lost just about everything.
Well, Skip, the thing is that you always felt if you play defense, if we can hold them, especially now, if you could hold a team to, say, 20 points, and you had Tom, you felt that, we're going to get 27, we're going to get 30, we're going to win. Now, when you have those pieces on defense, you got to hold somebody to 14. The likelihood of you holding somebody to 14 week in and week out, they don't allow you to play defense like that, Skip, because you can't get that physical anymore. Now, unless you got some just bad quarterbacks, and there are a few of those, but when you're dealing with a guy like he and Rodgers and Mahomes, Skip, what's the likelihood you think you're going to hold those teams to 17 and win games?
So I have now changed my percentage. I say Tom was worth 80%, and Bill, I'll give 20%.
You know what?
80-20.
First of all, and guess what? By the end of the show, it's going to be 90-10 for you. And by the end of the year, it might be 95-5 to you.
Shannon, are your numbers also shifting a little bit?
Nope.
Just a tad?
I just believe in Coach Belichick.
I can hear a little difference.
But the days, Skip, the days of him just taking popsicle sticks and building the Taj Mahal, those days are over. He's going to need some bricks. He's going to need a good solid foundation. He's going to need some better players in order to get back to where he wants to be.
Because he used to have the Star of India as in Diamond.
No mercy.
The Cowboys are reeling after another blowout loss, and their 2-5 record could easily be 0-7 if not for a couple of late-game field goals. Dallas has the worst-scoring defense in the league, and Pro Football Focus points out that they also have the lowest-graded coverage unit in the NFL. PFF continues to write that Dallas may not win more than one more game the rest of the season. Shannon, how do you explain what went wrong for this team?
And if that's true, let's just say there's someone on this side of the table that wouldn't be terribly disappointed if they just won one more game the rest of the season.
How about no more games?
And I just want to know all the Cowboys. I got some friends that are Cowboys fans, and now all of a sudden they don't want to talk to me, Skip. They won't answer my call. I'm talking to you, Carl Lee Booker. This team bought into their own hype. Skip, year after year, you read the stat. Pro Football Focus says this is the most talented team. This year, Pro Football Focus said they had the 6th most talented roster team. They had the 3rd most talented offense, 15th best defense. And what the Cowboys do and what Jerry has always done, Skip, He went with recognizable names. Let me get the big names. Everson Griffin, I want him. Dante Poe, I want Dante Poe. George McCoy, I gotta get him. That's what he does every single year, not knowing, okay, yeah, these are big names, but are they gonna fit with what Mike Nolan's gonna really be trying to do? Nah, but I just need the name. As long as I got the name, people will recognize the name, they'll watch the Cowboys. Okay, get that. Also, Jerry does not realize, or he's starting to realize now, that a value for a player, especially a player of Dak, does not just resonate on the field. You see how this team is completely falling apart in the locker room, Skip. It's things like that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning has always gotten credit for, that you're starting to see. You know what? Dak was the de facto leader of this team.
Not de facto. I mean, he just flat out was.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was the guy. He was the glue that held this thing together. And sometimes you have to pay extra for that. So if you pay Tom Brady $30 million a year, let's just say you give him $30 million. You probably should pay him $40, because that extra 10 was because he's going to hold it together in the locker room, and problems that would normally arise that the coach would have to deal with, it never makes it. That's what the real leaders do, Skip. They make sure the coach, there are certain things the coaches should never have to hear about, because the leaders take care of that before it ever makes it up to the second floor. No, that's not what Jerry did, Skip. You cannot use injuries, because there are a lot of teams that beat the hell.
Agreed.
Skip, is there anybody more beat the hell than the Eagles? With 3 receivers, their entire offensive line, their running back. Now, granted, they still have Wentz in there, but I don't know how he come back and play every single week with all the hits and the sacks that he's been taking. Skip, at some point in time, we got to stop blaming the coaches. And I don't, like I said, I don't really know Mike McCarthy. Some say he's a great, but Aaron Rodgers seemed to have soured on him. It seemed to have got stagnant the last couple of years in Green Bay, and they wanted to move in a different direction. But, Skip, I want to show you something last night. There was a play last night in the Rams game. And if I'm not mistaken, this is a brand-new defensive coordinator. And they had no offense because Wade Phillips was there. I want you to watch this play on 4th down. And I want you to watch Jalen Ramsey. I want you to watch Lewis. I want you to watch how they do this. Can we, Jim, we have that? Now, this is Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey is a 200-pound. He takes on a tackle, a 320-pound tackle. It's called setting the edge. In lay terms, it's called containment. He says, I refuse to give up my outside shoulder. You will turn this ball back inside. Lewis is right there fighting the tight end over the top, and you watch the safety hit it. Simple as that, Skip. What's your responsibility? Jalen Ramsey says, I am not giving up my outside shoulder. Lewis says, I'm going to continue to fight over the top. Safety says, I'm coming down here right now. A 4th and 1 turned into a -2-yard game.
Quick question. Did the Cowboys have a Jalen Ramsey?
No, Skip.
Do they?
Skip, you know what? In a situation like this, it's not about who you have, it's displaying your responsibility. If you got contained, you don't let your outside shoulder you don't let your outside arm get caught. If that's your responsibility, that's it, Skip. Because what are cornerbacks known for? Man, that joker's going to tackle. Man, he ain't trying to get mixed with it. He's trying to get picks. Jalen Ramsey says, I got a responsibility. Normally, when a tackle pulls, DBs hit the ground, they try to cut his legs out from under. But Jalen knows if I do that, he's going to keep to the edge. He's going to get the first down. He says, no, I'm going to stay in my ground. That's what you have to have, Skip. You have to have players that's willing to accept responsibility and do their job. You can't say, Skip, this defense doesn't fit my personality if you don't hit your gap. If you don't do I can't say, Skip, man, you know, this Ravens offense don't fit my skill set. If I drop a pass, if I blow an assignment, I can't use that as an excuse. That is the difference in what you're seeing now, Skip.
Yet, last night, speaking of, I saw the great Jalen Ramsey twice get smoked by a rookie receiver where he bid on a stutter go. And I'm like...
And he bid on the out and up.
Yeah, and what if Nick Foles has just a half second more? Half second more.
That's Nick Foles. That's Nick Foles. Nick Foles, the only Nick Foles.
Wait, you mean the Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles, who played 2 of the greatest playoff games you've ever seen? That guy?
Yeah, that guy.
You give him 1 more second, and that ball is on the money.
But the really good ones, Skip, they make that.
And by the way, how great was Jalen Ramsey just a week ago at San Francisco when they trailed 21-6 in the second quarter?
Skip.
I'm just asking.
Skip.
Okay.
I'm just talking about there are instances.
Okay. And you're right about all those, but I can't put any credence in any one of them because this team from the start, from the game against Jalen Ramsey out here to open the game, the seasons, on Sunday Night Football, this team started quitting on its new head coach and especially its new defensive coordinator.
If you just got to the season, you the first game and you quit already?
It was already happening in camp practice when nobody on defense could figure out what Mike Nolan was trying to teach them. He kept changing. Let's do that. No, let's do that. No, I think today let's try this. He seemed overmatched. There was a series, like a parade of veteran DBs, especially safeties, who just said, I don't know what he's talking about. Ha-ha, Clinton Dix clashed with him right away, and they cut him for Mike Nolan because Mike Nolan's a guru. He's been around this league for 30 years coaching defense. And then Brandon Carr, not a great player, but he'd started every game he had ever played in this league, every game, including all 16 games, for the Ravens last year. He clashed with Mike Nolan early, and they whacked him and sent him on his way. You can't tell me that Earl Thomas wouldn't have helped this team, and I got all the baggage, and you're dead right about all that, and maybe it would have been too much, but I'm talking about desperation here. Would Earl Thomas have helped this defense? You know he would have because it's the worst defense potentially in the history of pro football. Well, Mike Nolan, trust me, he was first in line to say, Jerry, no, I don't want to coach that guy because he's got ties to Baltimore. He knows where all the bodies were buried with Earl Thomas. He wanted no part of that. So Mike Nolan wanted to be the dictator of the defense. You're going to do it my way or the highway. And a lot of players after 2 weeks said, we'd rather be on the highway. Most of the negative quotes, I'm sure probably all of them, came from the defensive side of the ball. Now, quickly to your point about Dak. I love Dak Prescott. And you're right. He's the unquestioned leader of the locker room, the huddle, the franchise. And they do miss that steady sort of guiding hand, just that voice in the locker room that says, hey, we can figure this out. Let's not overreact to this. Shannon, Dak Prescott, in his last 17 games before he unfortunately, knock on wood, got hurt, I hope he bounces back quickly, he was 6-11 as the Cowboys starter in his previous 17 games. And he was the starter on opening night when they fell quickly behind to the Rams 7-0. Opening drive, the Rams went 75 yards in 7 plays, and it was 7-0.
Right.
Isn't that just sort of the theme of the whole season?
Yep.
Atlanta, they fell behind 20-0 after 1 quarter and were down 29-10 at half. And you know that miracles had to happen for them to win that game. Then at Seattle, they're down 30-15 in the 3rd quarter. They almost rallied, but Dak couldn't quite get them home. And then the Browns, they were down 41-14 in the 3rd quarter. That's unacceptable. That's just wrong.
Right.
And then finally, the Giants, while Dak was still afloat, they fell behind 17-3 early in that game.
Right.
It's just wrong. The Giants are the Giants, and they were really bad at that point. They're starting to try to figure some things out. They were just bad. And then Arizona, obviously, they fell behind quickly. It was 21-3 after a quarter. It was 31-3 in the 3rd quarter. It was abysmal. It was an embarrassment. And then you know what happened at Washington. I don't even need to start on that. Quit. So let's go back to preseason. Pro Football Focus said I think they had 3 most underrated teams in pro football, and this was one of them.
Yes.
Consensus pick to win the NFC East was the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
Dak was, I think, the 3rd best.
The 3rd or 4th best odds for MVP.
I think Fox Bet had him 4th, but I think Caesars had him at 3rd for MVP. The team is loaded. The team's got a chance. A lot of people some people picked him to win the NFC. I wasn't going to go that far. I said 10 wins. I now, at this moment, seriously, from my heart, I don't see how they'll win one more game because the only 2 I would give them a shot in are Washington on Thanksgiving. Do you remember what happened last Thanksgiving when I thought they could beat Buffalo at home? Do you remember what Buffalo did to them?
Yep.
Buffalo annihilated them and embarrassed them on the biggest national stage of the year.
That's 2 Thanksgivings in a row y'all got annihilated. San Diego did that to y'all 2 the year before.
They sure did. That was with no Zeke, and Dak was really having a hard time, but that was a humiliation. Okay, So the same Washington team that just destroyed Dallas at Washington, do you really think that my team can beat them on Thanksgiving? Because I don't. I don't see any hope there. Then the other game is at Joe Burrow. Is he playing great for a rookie?
Yeah.
I mean, just great.
I don't know about how good his defense is, but I know he can light your defense up.
Okay. So you look at what Cincinnati has done this year. I know they're only 1-5-1. They've only lost one game badly, and that was at Baltimore, and there's no shame in that.
Exactly.
Because every other game, it's by 3 to the Chargers when they led going to the fourth quarter, and then they tied Philly, and then they beat Jacksonville by 8, and they lost the game by 4. Then they lost the Browns by 3. Every game has been fairly close except for Baltimore.
Right.
Do you really think my team can go to Cincinnati and beat them? Because that kid is going to throw a party on my defense. Just
Skip,
watch.
The thing is, when you look at it, okay, you look at your personnel, you evaluate your personnel, and Dallas has a personnel to play a 4-man front. Well, Mike Nolan really likes to base out of a 3-man.
Okay.
So that means.
And he wanted people standing up instead of hand in dirt.
Right.
Okay.
Because he wants to be, because D-Law would really need to play a 5 technique like a J.J. Watt.
Yep, I agree.
That's what he would really need, instead of that Cowboy front, the 9 in.
Okay, so to me, in the end, even after the line got decimated, the offensive line, you still have a second-rounder at guard and a second-rounder who just came in at the other guard.
Right.
And the center's a fairly high pick.
He's the third-rounder, right?
Biotish was
a third or
fourth. I think he was fourth round. Tyler Biotish from Wisconsin. I think he's a pretty good player. And Cam Irving's over here on the left side. He was once the 14th overall pick, and then you've got an undrafted free agent over on the right side.
You remember the thing that I remember about Cam Irving was on that Monday night game against Aaron Donald.
I know.
You remember that?
I do. No, I got it. But he was just going to be a quality backup like Andy Dalton was the best backup quarterback in the league.
The backup is the best player on the team until he has to play.
Okay, all right, I got it. The point is, they're way better than what I just demonstrated to you.
You think so?
And to me, I still have to blame the two Mikes, Mike McCarthy, Mike Nolan. For whatever reason, it never clicked. This team never responded to either one of them. I've already called for Mike Nolan's job. He embarrassed me again yesterday. We'll talk about it later with the Tabasco incident in which he just sort of touches his eye and gets Tabasco sauce in his eye trying to do a Zoom press conference.
The man was eating wings.
I guess he was eating wings. Well, he has no business even eating anything right now. He should be on bread and water. He should be...
That's a shame, Skip.
Hey, seriously.
Let the man live.
No, eating wings before you do a Zoom conference? Stop it.
He probably was having wings and beer because y'all driving the man to drink.
Okay, well, he's driven me to something. He's driven me completely over the edge. My point is, it did not work. He hasn't been a coordinator since 2014 when his Atlanta Falcons allowed the most yards in the whole National Football League. It was a cronyism at its worst choice by Mike McCarthy.
I just wanted to...
And Jerry Jones keeps defending it because I still believe, I swear to you, I believe Jerry is just shrewd enough to look down this schedule and say, you know what? We are now playing for Trevor Lawrence. Well, you think I'm joking, but I'm not, because I don't. If you have half a football brain, you can't make a case they're going to win another game.
Well, that's already 2 more games than the Jets probably going to win.
Well, I don't know.
The Jets go to Kansas City this week.
Okay, I got it. But again, you still love Sam Darnold. You still,
yes.
Okay, are they capable of winning a game here or there?
Well, Skip, it just goes to show you, I don't care how good your quarterback is, let him get beat up. You see that offensive line? They got Nick Foles having guys wide open. He taking the check down because he already know he's going to get hit in his mouth if he take another step.
Okay, I got it. In the end, it has to be coaching. They have to be better. In my life, in my whole career, I've never seen a collapse by a team ranked this highly before the season started to come to this.
I want to know the man that hired them. Who put them in position? He has to take some responsibility.
He does, and his name is Gerald Wayne Jones Jr.
Okay.
Oh, how quickly expectations change for the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to have to leave it there for now because Bruce Arians keeps getting asked about the Bucs' decision to bring in Tom Brady's friend and former All-Pro wide receiver Antonio Brown. While the possibility first came up in the offseason, Arians said the move didn't make sense then as it does right now. Arians also said that he did consider his locker room before signing off on the acquisition, telling Peter King, quote, "This move wasn't made without me talking to every single player of every single veteran player." He asked them this: "Do you want this guy in our locker room?" And every man said yes. So Shannon, you said yesterday you don't necessarily like this move. Will AB be the reason the Bucs don't make it to the Super Bowl that we played in their stadium?
No, AB won't be the reason. I love this, Skip, that all of a sudden now personnel move, coaches go around and ask veteran players. They've never really done that before.
Nope. I agree.
Maybe you go ask Tom Brady, "Hey, Tom, look, we're thinking about signing this guy. What do you think?" Tom like, "Okay, sure, I'll get him." It's kind of like LeBron when they, make trades. Look at, "What do you think about this?" "I got him."
Do you think Belichick ever asked Brady, "Do you like this idea?"
Heck no. Because he didn't care.
He did not care.
Skip, look, I've made it clear. Skip, I wouldn't have made the move, especially on this team, because I believe I have the weaponry from Mike Evans to Godwin to Scotty Miller to Gronk, to Cameron Brate, to running game. I have enough offensively. Now, maybe, Skip, you said, okay, this is an insurance policy. I'm going to sign him to make sure, keep him away from New Orleans, keep him away from somebody else that could potentially sign him. Because if we don't, there's a good chance someone else will.
Yep.
So I'd rather him be in our locker room as opposed to, say, Green Bay, as opposed to New Orleans, or anybody else in the NFC that could potentially be Seattle, because it looked like Seattle really wanted him. So for me, Skip, I wouldn't have done it because I believe they have enough. But AB won't be the reason. I believe he'll probably be on his best behavior for one simple reason. He have the ultimate respect for number 12. And I believe 12 has reciprocated that and have the respect. Whatever he may or may not have done, Tom Brady says, "You come to me with a clean slate. You're a blank sheet of paper, and I'm going to accept you from this point on based on what you do moving forward. Not what you've done before you got here, because I've heard the story about how you and Ben clash, how you and Mike Tomlin, how you show up late for meeting, you wouldn't come to practice, yada, yada. I heard all that. But you didn't do that on my watch." And that's what most teams say, Skip. I heard about that, but you come here with a clean slate. And I believe because Brady have that respect for AB has that level of respect for Tom Brady, I believe Brady will be able to say, "AB, this is what we need to do. This is what we need from you." And the days of not getting 15 targets and throwing water coolers and saying all kind of things and confronting the receiver, those are over. Because he knows he's on his fourth chance. And I don't believe there'll be another chance after this. Because if you can't play with Tom Brady, because we've never seen a guy behave in the manner that AB has behaved in Pittsburgh or Oakland. I don't believe he'll behave like that. But I wouldn't have done it because I believe I have enough. Now, if you're telling me, well, that hamstring from Godwin might go at any time, that ankle is not going to get any better from Mike Evans, okay, an insurance policy, I get it. But I think they have enough, but I feel very comfortable in saying he ain't going to be the reason they don't get to the Super Bowl.
I am surprised by that conclusion because you were adamant yesterday, bad idea, wrong guy to add to this mix in this
Well, the reason why, Skip, because the money that they're paying him and it's incentive. So basically, it's a week-to-week deal. He's a weekly worker. He's an hourly worker, Skip. And Bruce Arians made it abundantly clear. He misbehaved, he gone. He don't buy into the team, he gone. He said if he don't buy into the team concept, it'll be the shortest contract in NFL history. Basically, that's what he's saying. So he will not get enough, he will not get a long enough opportunity to throw a wrench into this.
Okay. By all accounts, this is a very good locker room. And again, as I said, as we open the show, Tom Brady has almost impossibly quickly transformed the culture in Tampa into New England-like culture. By all accounts, it's a very good locker room with good guys. Mike Evans seems like a really good guy to me. Chris Godwin seems like a really good guy to me. Cameron Brate, and we can go on and on. Now, you have guys who have had issues before. Fournette has had some issues. And obviously, if you throw AB into the fire, you're throwing gasoline onto the fire potentially, right? This is the same Tom Brady who said, give me Randy Moss in 2007.
Correct.
He did not have AB kind of baggage, but he did have some baggage.
Yes.
And Tom Brady loved him.
Right.
Tom Brady just embraced him, and I believe he embraced back the Patriot way.
Right.
And he started to balk against it after 2 years, and then pretty quickly after a Monday night game, he was out.
You got it. That guy, Randy, was a guy that he had to have respect for the coach, which he had for Denny Green.
Yep.
He had to have respect for the quarterback, which he had for Culpepper to an extent, and he had for Tom. If they don't have those,
he also had the great Chris Carter as his big brother,
and then Skip, and then for whatever reason he went to Oakland.
He was done. He did not even want to get off the bus in Oakland. I've heard that firsthand from the guy at the top.
Right.
And they just gave him what was for a fourth-round pick?
Third or fourth-round pick, yeah.
They just gave him New England, and the rest is history.
Yes.
Because 2,000 records fell like snow in Foxborough, right?
Correct.
Okay, so what does Tom Brady know about Antonio? Well, they signed him on a Monday before the game at Miami.
Correct.
On Tuesday, that civil suit got filed alleging 3 different instances of sexual assault. So that was a bombshell and could have been a big distraction. So they practiced Wednesday, Thursday, and a little bit on Friday, walked through maybe on Saturday. They had to fly.
Right.
And they're back in Antonio's hometown in Miami. It winds up 43-0 Patriots because Miami was really struggling at that point, as you recall. But right away, both Belichick and Brady said, we don't care about the naysayers. We don't care about the negativity. We are going to play Antonio Brown. And in the very first drive, they put him in on the second play of the game and threw him the football. And Tom threw him several passes, but I think we have a riff of the 4 that Antonio caught. You can just see what started happening. This is with 1 week of practice. That they don't know each other at all, and Brady immediately lets the first throw to Antonio on his first play of the game, the second play for the Patriots. And then here he goes again. This is still on that first drive. He hit him 3 straight times, and this is the 3rd time on the first drive. That was pretty much double covered. And then he hit him with the touchdown pass to seal it. And again, it's a route, and as you know, the rest of the story is there was a group text, and Robert Kraft got involved, and then Antonio ripped Robert Kraft, and he was gone. After 1 week, he was gone. But they clicked and connected so deeply that they stayed in close touch the whole time, Antonio and Tom Brady. That's an unlikely couple, right? Those are strange bedfellows.
There's nothing more valuable than the quarterback and wide receiver respecting one another.
Yep.
And don't tell me my success is just tied to you, because I would never say your success is just tied to me. And for whatever reason, it started to, he and Ben started to book. They became a level of disrespect. And then the gap between the disrespect, it got larger and larger. And so once that happened, AB was not going to acquiesce. And Ben's like, I'm the de facto leader of the team, because the general manager basically said, Ben got Super Bowls, he the dad, y'all the kids, listen up. Once it was that, AB like, I'm out. I'm out. But he never broached that. Tom doesn't strike me as a guy that says, even as accomplished as he is, would ever tell a player, I made you. Your success is tied to me. I can dictate how good you are in a given game. That doesn't strike me as Tom Brady. And I think AB felt that Ben, whether he said that or acted in such a way. Now, AB is not without blame. So I don't want people to think, well, Shannon, you letting that, no.
Hey, time out. This man across from me, the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharp, no Hall of Famer has been harder on Antonio Brown than you have.
No.
In fact, you even said it straight to the man's face at Houston, our first go-round here on Undisputed.
I'd cut him.
It was ahead of the Patriots Atlanta Super Bowl. We had AB on the show from Houston, and you just told him right to his face, you'd be done with it.
I'd be done. Because I saw what was happening, Skip.
He went Facebook Live in the locker room.
In the locker room, Skip, that's off limits.
Yep.
Everybody knows immediately after the game, you're in the locker room, The coach, you have the undivided attention.
And he unwittingly incriminated his head coach, Mike Tomlin, who was giving a hellfire and damnation speech about getting ready for New England. And he unfortunately used some term about New England. And AB putting it out live.
Yeah, he got it live. He like, bro, you should be paying attention.
Yeah.
I said, and I felt that was the beginning of the end. But there are a lot of things that was going on that wasn't reported.
Yeah.
Because, Skip, when you look, everybody knows it doesn't matter. People think it's just like superstars in sports. No. If you're really good at your job will give you more leeway as far as coming in late, as far as absences. Your job, the better you are at your job, the more leeway you get. That's no different than in sports.
Okay, I got it.
The good thing is that the most people realize that, well, let's not abuse the privilege.
Okay. So I believe that Antonio Brown, not only will he not be the reason they don't get to a home Super Bowl, I believe he'll be the reason they do get to it. I believe that Tom is going to show the young receivers the way. They both made the Pro Bowl, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin last year, and they went 7-9. They didn't make the playoffs. I believe he'll show them because he's got the cachet, he's got the 6 rings, to say winning is everything.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what your numbers are, doesn't matter what my numbers are. We just have to figure out how to go win every game from here on out, including the playoff games, to get us to the home Super Bowl. And if your numbers fall, so be it, because there's only one number that's going to matter in the end, and it's the one on the scoreboard in the last game.
It ain't about numbers, it's about alphabets.
No, it is.
Dubs and L.
Those 2 letters. That's all that really matters. And they can get their numbers later in their career, but they need to get a ring right now.
Well, Scotty Miller ain't going to be upset because AB is going to be in the slide. Scotty Miller like, hey, Tommy, we were just bonding.
You could be right about that.
We were just bonding.
But you know and I know injuries are going to happen.
Yeah.
We got soft tissue issues everywhere in this league, right?
Yeah.
And again, I hope they stay healthy. They already lost a stud tight end in O.J. Howard who can just fly. So they lost their deep threat tight end. Well, they'll need Antonio Brown at some point. And by the way, little Scotty Miller, he's been all beat up all year.
And then Mike Evans is already not getting targets. So the targets going to be even fewer. And like I said, hopefully that it doesn't upset, because, Skip, it's hard. I'm telling you, man, when you get guys that have become accomplished, even though they want to win, they don't want to be less accomplished in the process of winning.
I know. Unless you drive home to them, all that matters is that ring.
Yeah. That changes things.
So AB will be eligible after Week 8. Most likely that debut will be Sunday, November 8th against the Saints. So it really is around the corner.
When the Saints go marching in?
Yep.
When the Saints go marching in, I think I want some dew on that.
Do you really?
I think I'm going to get me a little dew on that.
My dew's going to be on AB.
Marching in.
No mercy.
The Rams cruised to a 24-10 victory last night over the Bears. Jared Goff did just enough with 2 touchdown passes, while Nick Foles couldn't do much against LA's defense. The Rams picked off Foles twice and also stopped Chicago on 4th down on 2 other occasions. The Bears' only touchdown of the night came via their defense, scoring on a fumble recovery, but Chicago is still 5-2 and in the mix for a wild card spot. So, Shannon, can the Bears make the playoffs with Nick Foles as their QB?
Yep, I don't see how. I believe the Green Bay Packers are going to win that division. And when you look at the NFC West, Skip, the last place team is the 49ers. They got 4 wins. There's a great possibility they're going to get 3 teams out of that division. Well, that's it. You still got New Orleans. You still got Tampa in the NFC South. You got those 3 teams. You got 3 teams in the NFC West. You got Green Bay in the NFC North. And you got and unfortunately, Skip, somebody got to go from the NFC East. I don't see it, Skip. Nick Foles, Skip, we have not seen Nick Foles lead a team for the entirety of the season since what? His first year, maybe his second year in the league. That was the last time, Skip. He can get hot for a game or 2. He had the greatest 2 games, the championship game and the Super Bowl. He was in the NFC Championship game. He was 352 yards, 3 touchdowns against Minnesota, and then he did a little better. He went 373, 3 touchdowns against New England. But if you go back and look at the first game, Skip, he easily could have lost that divisional game to Atlanta. The Bears are in the tight. I don't see it, Skip. Skip, look at these throws. Skip, he had Jalen Ramsey beat twice. And even if you say, well, Skip, if he could have just held up a tick long, held the ball a tick longer. But what about the last one? The dude runs an out and up. He's wide open and he throws the ball out of bounds. Skip, that's inexcusable.
Pressure.
Ain't no pressure. What no pressure on it? What no pressure on it? Mm-hmm. He imagined. He saw ghosts that weren't there this time. He got scared one time. He's like, oh, if I go in this door again, they go in this room again, there might be another ghost. No, Skip. Even if you gotta make those throws, Skip, because it's so hard. And that was really the only chances that they had. They got 2 goals. When a team make a mistake, this is the way you always approach it, Skip. Mike used to tell us this all the time, and even when a team makes a mistake, because if you make a mistake and miss an assignment, they hit your quarterback in the back, he gonna fumble the ball. If they make a mistake, they blow a coverage, or a guy gets beat, you got to make them pay the ultimate price with a touchdown. You got to make Jalen Ramsey pay for making those mistakes, for thinking he's going to get a quick pick, and he didn't make them pay. Skip, it is so hard for them to generate. Skip, they got Cordell Patterson in the backfield, 84, a wide receiver toting the pig.
Yep.
That just goes to show you the offensive line isn't very good. And the problems that they have, Skip, how do you fix that? How do you get the guy that says all of a sudden, I need you to be better at blocking? Skip, you got what you got. Ain't nobody on the street. Because if the guy on the street that can help you, he'd be on the team helping somebody, you or someone else. I don't see it. Nick Foles has shown you, Skip. Now, you can talk about your... Look, first of all, before I turn it over to you, Skip, if one of the 2 answers is A, Mitchell Trubisky, B, Nick Foles, you're asking a terrible question. That's all you need to know, Skip. If the answer is A, Trubisky, B, Foles, the question is bull jive.
Okay. So, my biggest takeaway from last night was if Nick Foles could play Tom Brady every game, he would lead the Bears to the Super Bowl.
I tweeted that, Skip. He only plays well and consistent against Brady.
So you plagiarized my tweet?
No, Skip, I tweeted that.
Huh?
You tweeted that too?
Yeah.
I did.
And apparently somebody told you that I tweeted it, and you said, well, I'll just...
I think mine went out first.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sure mine went out
first.
No. Be that as it may, you have often called Nick Foles on this show, on live national TV, terrible.
Yeah.
And are you still sticking with terrible?
Yeah. Trubisky had a better record than he has right now. Trubisky had lost a game. Your guy lost 2.
So Nick Foles in his career in the regular season has thrown 77 touchdown passes to only 41 interceptions. That's pretty great, actually. And in the postseason, he's thrown 11 touchdown passes to only 5 interceptions. That's pretty great, right?
2-1 is pretty.
And I've called him many times on the show the Magic Man, because in the Philly locker room, especially in the second go-around, the year after he was the Super Bowl MVP, who was it? Kyle Long built a shrine to him. Chris Long, yeah. Kyle's at Chicago. Chris Long built a shrine to him in the locker room, which they all kneeled, bowed down and worshipped because
that's the beginning. That's what hurt my quarterback, Skip. They did that. That's what hurt my quarterback.
So last night on live national TV, Nick Foles found himself at the wrong place at the very worst time, because the Rams had just stunk it up against their arch rival at San Francisco. They fell behind in the second quarter, 21-6. And Aaron Donald called out the whole defense and said, we were soft, we didn't play with enough heart, all those things. He called them out.
Yes.
And he should have also called himself out, because in that game at San Francisco, he had 2 total tackles and 1 hit on the quarterback and no sacks. So it wasn't one of those Aaron Donald takes over the whole game kind of game.
But he said we. He said we. He didn't say y'all. He said we. And did you see him last night?
He was pretty good last night. Again, the stats never scream dominant. They never scream Reggie White. They never scream Lawrence Taylor.
Skip, the Pro Football Focus graded Aaron Donald said he had 10 quarterback pressures last night. He had 5 pass rush wins against double teams. That's the second time he's done that in this season. That's more than the entire NFL has combined. He's beating double team.
He had 3 tackles last night, a half a sack, and 1 hit on the quarterback. Okay, is he Khalil Mack? I don't think so.
Why? Hold on. You would take Khalil Mack over Aaron Donald?
Heck yes. He disrupts. He flies off that edge just savagely, and he brutalized Tom Brady in that game. Khalil Mack took the game over in the fourth quarter against Tampa Bay.
Skip. Do you see this?
Aaron Donald can't rush the passer like Khalil Mack can.
Yeah, he can.
No.
And Skip, they said he got double teamed. He had 5 wins against double teams. That's the second time he's done that this year, more than the rest of the NFL combined.
So here they came with blood in their eyes for poor Nick Foles last night. Nick Foles is behind an offensive line that rivals the Cowboys for the worst in the league when it comes to pass blocking.
Eagle says, hold my beer.
Okay, well, it's somewhat, but they, you know what? They still block fairly well, given that they're all backups. They're coached better. I have no idea, but they perform better than the Cowboys or the Bears' offensive line. What does Nick Foles have to back him up in the run game? How about dead last in the NFL in rushing? How about that?
Yes.
How about even against the Bucs when Nick Foles prevailed? They had a grand total of 35 rush yards in that game, 2.5 per try.
Cohen got hurt. It hurt him.
Last night, they had 49 rush yards, 2.9 per try. That's a hard formula to protect the quarterback with and to win by.
Yes.
And then there was an incident during the game. Brian Greasy does a great job for ESPN, but he just blurts out on the air that in the production meeting, Nick Foles just flat out told him that there's some plays that get called that as soon as I hear the play call thinking it's going to be a 5-step drop or 7-step drop, a deeper drop, that I know I'm not going to have time to let that route finish and get the throw off.
Right.
Well, obviously, the head coach did not like that after the game, and Nick Foles had to backtrack on. But I believe he did say that to Brian Greasy, and that Brian just used it on the air because, hey, anything you say in a production meeting, it's fair game.
You got to be careful.
Hey, you are on the record.
Yes.
And I guess Nick, who seems like a really good guy, I assume he thought I was talking to an ex-quarterback, and it was just kind of like,
no.
Nope, it wasn't. Sorry.
He's an ex-quarterback that happens to be an analyst for TV.
Okay. So I'm going to throw out last night because he was under fire. I don't know how many times he's leaning backward. He's ducking. He's not the most mobile guy to start with. You got to give him a little bit of time, and he had next to no time.
Skip, he's good in a situation coming off the bench. They didn't prepare for him. Or he can, 3 or 4 games. But what they're asking him to do is to take us the rest of the way. And we've only seen him do that one time when he had that historically great season, 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Outside of that, we have not seen him over a long period of time sustain any level of success, not over a period of time.
But he can clutch it up in big games against great players.
Well, unfortunately, he needs to get him in the clutch situation, and he ain't did that.
All right, well, you guys were busy arguing over there. I did a full investigation here. Skip, you actually tweeted 21 minutes before Shannon about Nick Foles, so we're just going to settle it.
And then Shannon's scrolling.
No.
Somebody said, hey, how about this, Shannon? You like...
You guys are on your phones
I got
too
it.
much.
I own it.
So many tweets from that table.
No mercy.
The World Series took another crazy twist on Sunday when Clayton Kershaw threw out Manny Margot's attempted steal of home, and the Dodgers took a 3-2 series lead over the Rays. L.A. is now just 1 win away from their first championship since 1988 and look to seal the deal tonight. So, Shannon, what do you expect to happen Game 6?
Well, I hope the starting pitcher, I think it's Gonsolin, goes longer than an inning and a third. He needs to go at least 4 innings, Skip. It looks like they're going to turn it into a bullpen.
I think it's a bullpen. I don't expect him to last.
Well, come on, Skip. He got to go. Because remember last time we saw Snell, he was electric. Now, he doesn't go deep.
No.
So hopefully they can get him out of there in about 2 innings and get to their bullpen, and we go and win this thing.
So you think it's over tonight?
City of Angels about to be the city of champions.
You going to lead the parade again? Beep, beep, beep. Are you?
I don't have the same passion that I have, but it'll be nice. It'll be nice.
I say because Snell is going and he is their ace, I say I give edge to Tampa tonight in Game 6. But the Dodgers ace is sitting there waiting for Game 7. Walker Buehler from Vanderbilt University will win Game 7 dominantly, and he will be the World Series MVP.
Now,
Thank
we got all hands on decks. We got, who is it, Uris? We got Buehler, and we got Kershaw. So we going to throw them 3 big guns if we need them.
The big gun is...
We going to throw them big guns.
Vandy Man is the big gun.
Okay,
you better watch. You know it.
Well, I don't even want to get to a Game 7 because, Skip, you know anything can happen in a Game 7 now. Yeah. Let's go ahead and end this thing tonight.
Vanderbilt all the way from Skip. You guys want to do a viewing party? Maybe hang out Game 6 tonight? No one ever takes me up on that. I'm going to watch this one on my own. 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. I cannot wait. All right, back to the action, guys. Leak sources are reporting that Washington linebacker Jon Bostic isn't expected to receive any additional punishment for the helmet-to-helmet hit that knocked Andy Dalton out of the game on Sunday. Bostic was ejected from the game after the play, but Coach Mike McCarthy was still upset that nobody on Dallas confronted Washington after the incident. Dalton is now in concussion protocol, and rookie Ben DiNucci is in line for his first career start this Sunday night against the Eagles. Shannon, should Bostic have been suspended?
Yeah, hell yeah, absolutely. I don't know what he thought. I mean, Andy Dalton going into a slide, what did he thought he was going to do? This is not baseball, Skip. Once you go into a slide, the ball's overthrown. You can't get up and take off running again. You're going into a slide, and you hit the man in his head area. If that does not get you suspended, what gets a player suspended in the NFL now? For on-field behavior. I don't really know what does, because I'm not saying Bostic is a dirty player, but that was a cheap shot. And there's no place. Why would you do that? It's hard enough that you understand. You played this game. I played for 14 years. I understand how hard it is to play this game in and game out, and not get injured. Playing it the right way. Somebody take a cheap shot like that, you got to get him one game. He should have been suspended for one game. Skip, I understand football is reactionary and it's tough. You hit the man in the head going into a slide. I guarantee you, if they'd have hit that number 12 in Tampa, they'd have deported him. They'd have threw him out, not out the league, they'd have kicked him out the country. Hit Mahomes like that and see what happens.
You could be right. I could be wrong, because I am so wrung out, worn out watching my Cowboys that I can't work up any sort of rivalry emotion. I don't have anything left in my body except numbness. So I can't get real worked up about, he has to be gone for a game. He hit my quarterback. Well, he hit my backup quarterback, who used to be a Bengal. You know, it's like, I don't know. So what do I know about Jon Bostic? He was drafted back in 2013 by the Chicago Bears in the second round out of Florida. He's a pretty good player, but he has bounced around. This is his fifth team. But he has, to your point, no track record of dirty play behavior. We're not talking about Vontaze Burfict.
Right? Correct. Oh, he would definitely be gone.
He would be so gone for so long. But in this case, I look back at his fines in 2013, his rookie year. He got fined $21,000 for a defenseless hit on a wide receiver. Okay, not a huge deal. Then there was a horse collar fine that he got in 2017. No big deal. But he doesn't have a headhunter reputation. So, as you know, in my career, I sort of grew up in the middle of the Dallas-Washington rivalry, and it is bad blood. I know you can say Broncos-Raiders, Broncos-Chiefs, whatever.
Steelers-Ravens.
Yeah, you can do Steelers-Ravens. But for the longest, this was it. And as soon as you come into the confines of one team or the other, you just by osmosis, you understand, I hate those guys. I have to learn to hate those guys. So Bostic played last year in 2 games for what were then the Redskins versus the Cowboys. And in those 2 games, Dak was on an all-time hot streak. It was week 2, but remember his first 3 games last year were just off the charts. And the Cowboys put up 474 yards in that game at D.C., it's obviously in Maryland. But it was 31-21 Cowboys. Dak had a QBR of 95, 3 touchdown passes, and I'm sure it just felt like they were rubbing it in to a Jon Bostic. And then the year ended at Jerry World after the Cowboys had just stunk it up on the road and scored 9 points in New England, 9 points at Philly. And what do? They come home against Washington and just beat the snot out of them. It was 47-16. Dak threw for 303 and 4 touchdowns. And I'm sure it was a long day for Mr. Bostic, where he just running, chasing, looking around, and felt like they just ran it up and rubbed it in, right? So to me, I'm giving him a little rivalry break, because I believe for any player, for the Washington football team, when you see that star on the side of the helmet, if you think you have a shot and you think you're front running on them, you try to just drive their heads literally into the turf, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
He literally knocked his helmet off his head. And I get it. It was an egregious cheap shot. I tweeted immediately, what a cheap shot.
Yeah.
But Shannon, it's hard for me to work up a lot of passion or emotion or hatred for what used to be the Redskins right now, because my team is pathetic. The Washington football team knew they were pathetic, had them on the run. Remember, the game was way over by that point. It was mid-third quarter.
Yeah.
And
it was 22-3, I think, at that point.
And he saw an opening to take a shot at the backup quarterback he ran out of his own end zone, which was just like kamikaze, you know. But he is going down into a slide.
Right.
And he just annihilated him as cheaply as you can annihilate a quarterback.
Right.
Went sort of shoulder and helmet into head.
Right. Look at him, Skip. Look at him. He's loading up his forearm. Look at
I got it. This is what used to be Redskins versus Cowboys.
Yes.
That's what used to happen. If you got that shot, you took that shot because you were going to get quietly applauded on your sideline.
And guess what would happen? You did that quarterback, guess what?
I know.
Your quarterback will get the exact same thing.
I got it. It's why, because I'm so steeped in the rivalry, that I kind of shrug it off. Unless he had a reputation, but he had no
No.
He had no
That's why I'm only giving him a game.
Okay, so did he deserve a game? You could be right. Can I dredge up the emotion? No, I cannot. And I still say a lot of teams hate that star on that helmet. Right. They despise it. It's America's team, and most people think you deserve to be America's team. How?
Skip,
why? What did you do to become America's team?
Actually, I played the Cowboys. We played them in 92. We played them in 95. We played them in 98. Played them in 2000. Actually, I like playing the Cowboys. You know why I like playing the Cowboys? That means you're going to get John Madden and Pat Summerall.
Okay.
That means I was going to get an opportunity to be on the All-Madden team, because before, you only got a chance to be on that team if they saw you play. And they went everywhere. It was like the Cowboys had purchased them from Fox, because they went everywhere the Cowboys went, because the Cowboys were really good. Mm-hmm. And so wherever the Cowboys showed up, Madden and Summerall showed up. So I wanted to be on TV.
So I consider you the president of the Cowboy Haters Club. And I believe that deep down, inside, somewhere deep down in there, there's a trigger in there that when you see blue, you see red. You just despise even the look of that helmet with that star on it.
Because you and their delusional fan base are convinced that every single year, oh, we going to the Super Bowl, we're going to do this. And when you don't go, well, we don't really care. We already got 5. No. We ain't talking about what you did. How long ago that's been?
Okay, but right there, you see him loading up.
Yep.
And subliminally, he's thinking, America's team, Cowboy cheerleaders, Jerry Jones, Jerry World, watch this. I'm going to literally knock his head off.
Yeah.
And he just about did.
He did.
Okay,
He did.
Way to go.
But, I mean, I still can't believe that an offensive lineman didn't run and shove him. I couldn't believe
They had to make sure the quarterback was still alive.
That guy hold on. They're not
all 5 ran right to him.
First of all,
ran to his bedside because he was literally out on the ground.
They're not essential workers. They're not EMTs. I'm going to go shove John Bostic into next week.
The referees had immediately shoved him toward the sideline because he was ejected.
That's before I get it. Because as soon as he went over the top and he stood up, one of the offensive linemen should have put his helmet dead in his back.
In most circumstances, but not in this one. This team has QUIT quit.
Think about if you were to do that to one of these quarterbacks, what you think the lineman? And I watched Steve Young when against the Bears in '94. Jerry Rice came and got in the guy's face. Brent Jones came and got him, and then I think it was Gogan. Somebody, one of those big linemen was coming and shove him. Man, you can't just let the man hit your guy like that and you just like, man, you okay? If I was there in the door, like, get out of my face. Which one of y'all hit him? Did y'all put him? Did y'all hit him in his back? Did y'all knock him down? Man, get out of my face. Y'all was terrible.
Did you see any fight in my team the whole day?
No, I ain't seen no fight all year.
Thank you.
It's a bad look.
Next question.
They haven't had it. Next question.
No mercy.
The Patriots are coming off their worst home loss of the Bill Belichick era, with their offense struggling to put up points as they fell to 2-4 in their first season without Tom Brady. One exec even made an interesting comparison in The Athletic, saying, quote, Phil Jackson was a great coach, but it turns out it really does matter if Michael Jordan is there. In this analogy, Michael Jordan is now the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who sit at 5-2 and look like the best team in the NFC. Super Bowl champ and Fox college football analyst Reggie Bush joining us this morning. Reggie, is Tom Brady now proving that he was far more valuable than Coach Belichick?
I think he was extremely valuable to New England Patriots and to Bill Belichick because Brady was always the fail-safe. Brady was always the reason why Belichick could attract players to go there because he even found ways to not have to pay players the big contracts because of what? Because you were going to win football games. You're going to get a chance to play with Tom Brady. But now that's not there, right? Now Belichick is kind of seeing, just how important it is to have good players. And I don't think we can sit here and can compare the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the New England Patriots. Those are two totally different built football teams right now. And when Tom Brady left New England, he didn't have the same amount of weapons that he has now. And that's what a lot of people were also arguing for is who is Brady throwing it to? He has no weapons. They're not getting separation. But now he's in Tampa Bay, and now he's getting separation. He has weapons. So I don't think we can compare both of those teams. I think for the average casual fan, they might look at this conversation or look at this question and say, well, yeah, clearly Brady deserves more respect. But for anybody who's actually played the game sharp, I know you can attest to this too, you got to have both. You got to have a good coach, and you got to have good players, and that's it. Whoever deserves more credit or that's for a different conversation. But as far as being a championship caliber team, you got to have the elements of all those things, not just good players. You can't have bad coaches and great players. That won't work. You also can't have great coaches and bad players. That won't work. You got to have great coaches and great players. And that's what they had in New England. And that's why they were able to win so many championships.
It's hard for me to end the debate right now after 7 games. Because, Reggie, you know what I didn't hear? After the first 2 weeks of the season, nobody broached this conversation, did they? Cam Newton was playing unbelievable. They had beaten Miami. Cam had just thrown for 400 yards against Seattle. And nobody said that Coach Belichick was wrong to let Tom Brady go. Now they've kind of fallen on hard times. Tom Brady and the Bucs have seemed to be taking off. Now we want to revisit this conversation. They go hand in hand, as you mentioned, Rich. I can only think of 2 head coaches, Skip, that's in the Hall of Fame, guys, that didn't have the Hall of Fame quarterback. Joe Gibbs, he had 3. None of those quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame, and Bill Parcells. Every other coach that's in the Hall of Fame, Skip, he had a Hall of Fame quarterback. Don Shula is the all-time winningest coach. Guess what he had? He had 3 of them. He went from Johnny Unitas to Bob Greasy to Dan Marino. That probably would explain, Skip, why he has the most wins.
Yeah, I mean, Bob Greasy wasn't a great player, but he was very good.
He was
great.
Okay.
He was good,
he would be considered great for that time.
He would.
Now, we look back at him now when you're throwing tip 5. I think he won a playoff game, Skip. He completed 3 or 4 passes. But they were a running football team. So what Brady allowed Coach Belichick to do was he could take, it didn't matter the players, because he knew he had the ultimate deodorant, the cover-up of any smell that he brought into that locker room. Brady could cover it up and make it smell sweet. Defense, offense, and like you said, Skip, what Brady allowed Coach Belichick to do was get away with the unthinkable. Pay guys below their market value. Because I heard Darrell Reeves on the podcast said he asked for $16 million. He said, what Tom only makes 14. So he said, well, I can't give you more than him. And that's what he did with everybody, Skip. Once Tom Brady started taking less, Coach Belichick then could say, how can I play you more than what look what he's making. And so that's what he allowed him to do. But let's not forget the fact, Reggie, in 19 years of starting, Tom Brady had 16 times he had a top 10 defense. Exactly what he has now. So 17 and 20 seasons. He has weapons. So we're going to say, well, he didn't have anybody to throw to, and then we're going to say Cam's a bum. The same guys that he had to throw to last year, Cam got them, and they're even worse. Like Julian Skip, you said Julian Edelman was broken down last year. Well, he need to pull that thing side the road. We need to call the tow truck and get him out of our yard because he can't go nowhere.
Remember, last year he led the whole league in drops. So go ahead.
He up at it again.
Okay.
So Skip, at the end of the season, I know you've been waiting for this moment. You've been waiting for this moment since you and I got on air 4 years ago in September to say Tom Brady is 80, 85. And I'm sure by the end of the year, your percent of the credit.
Yes.
I'm sure by the end of the year, you'll be at 90. But don't count on Coach Belichick out just yet.
Well, if you say I'm leaping to a premature conclusion, go on the record. Will Belichick turn it around? Will they make the playoffs? Will they do what you predicted they would do and win the AFC East? Will they?
Hold on. Even if they don't do it this year, what if they win the division next year? What if they go to win a Super Bowl in the next couple of years? Would that have proved him right?
Tom Brady's going to get to this year's Super Bowl.
You can't
be game over.
You can't definitively say that.
Game over. I already predicted it, and I'm standing by it.
You predicted the Cowboys would win, too.
I did not. I said they'd win 10 games.
Oh, they'd
win the East.
Oh, they going to win 10 games?
I didn't say they'd win a playoff
Oh, they going to win 10 games?
No, they're not going to win another game, but that's all you got on me right now because I got Brady all over you.
You do. You got Brady.
Now, I got to go back to my man, Reggie. So Reggie opened up and he was going down the Brady, the Yellowbrook Road to Tom Brady is the greatest and all that. And then at the end, Reggie backed off and said, but you need great coaching and great quarterbacking. So, Reggie, would you break it down to sort of 50-50 what happened with the dynastic Patriots?
Well, I think Sharp made a great point, right? Brady didn't play defense, and the New England Patriots always had a really good defense. And Belichick was able to even adjust. I don't know if you remember, a couple of times he went from a 4-3 to a 3-4, back to a 4-3. So he was able to adjust with the defense, and he was able to, again, attract players because of Brady. Guys wanted to win championships. That's why Darrelle Revis came there on a one-year deal. He was able to attract Stephon Gilmore there, who's there now, who's playing great football. But they had Brady. Now, some of those guys have opted out. Brady's not there. Gronk's not there. It's a different attraction now. Why would I want to go to New England right now? For what?
Thank you. Here's the point. I said this 4 years ago to my man Shannon, and I stand by it. Tom Brady made Bill Belichick. And now, because he's on this mad mission to get even with Belichick and prove him wrong, and you don't bet against Tom Brady when he's on a mission, he is exposing Belichick for what he is and always was. If you look at those first 5 years, he was a head coach for the Cleveland Browns. They made the playoffs one time in 5 years, and they finished 36-44 overall, and he got fired. Then he goes to New England. Brady is not the starting quarterback. In the first year with Drew Bledsoe, they go 5-11. In the second year, they start off 0-2 before Bledsoe fatefully took a shot from Mo Lewis in the chest, I guess it was, and he was done for much of the rest of the year. He did come back late in the AFC game. But the point is, Tom Brady took over when Bill Belichick, as a career head coach, was 41-57, and the rest is NFL history. Again, I give Brady at least 75% of the dynastic credit because he took over the franchise in the locker room and in the huddle and on the scoreboard. And he allowed Belichick to get away with verbally abusing players in ways no coach could have ever lasted getting away with. There's no way Shannon Sharp or Reggie Bush would have wanted to play for that Bill Belichick, except that Tom Brady was in the locker room saying, guys, it's okay. It's just the way he is. We'll be okay. We can win in spite of him. And because of that, Bill Belichick got away with bringing in a lot of swings and misses and free agencies. He got away with swinging and missing in the draft a lot.
Yes.
Because he had Tom Brady, as you say, he's the ultimate deodorant, especially on the offensive side. Just give him any old group of receivers and he'll figure it out. Because he won 6 rings with 6 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter overtime. That's unheard of. That's impossibly great. So he chooses out of the blue Tampa Bay, the Succaneers, as they were called. They had the worst winning percentage in all of sports when he chose, I'm going there. Did anybody say that Todd Bowles had a great defense last year? No, they went 7-9, but I kept telling Shannon Sharp, down the stretch last year, the last 4 or 5 games, they started to come to life. Then they got the GOAT. And all of a sudden, Levante David and Devin White are saying, God, we got the GOAT. Watch this. And they are playing not just Pro Bowl football, they're playing Defensive Player of the Year kind of football because the whole defense has been lifted by the presence of Tom Brady, who's already recreating the Patriot culture in Tampa Bay. It's impossibly great. I think he's edged ahead in the MVP race. They have edged ahead as the best team in the NFC, and it's making Belichick look worse and worse because he pushed Tom Brady out the door.
Reggie,
yes, hey, Skip. Sorry,
Reggie,
I was going to say this one point.
Go ahead.
I was going to say this one point. Tom Brady is so attractive that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are willing to take a chance on Antonio Brown while their season is already looking very good. This team already looks good. The chemistry is already good. That's how attractive Tom Brady is.
Reggie, let me, quarterback A. He's 22nd in completion percentage. He's 21st in yards per attempt. He's 16th in QBR. He's 6th in pass attempts. Does that sound like an MVP to you?
Nope.
Well, I got one for you. How about a quarterback who leads the whole league in what are called big-time throws with 24? And who also leads the league in fewest turnover-worthy throws with only 3.
Does he lead the league in fewest turnovers? Because my homeboy has one with 16 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers is 17-2. So you talking about worthy plays. I'm talking about actually turnovers.
Second most touchdown passes in the league right now, Tom Brady, or as I call him, Tampa Bay. 18.
Suck
on that for a while.
How about this here? What's my guy's name? Russell. Russell has 22 in a fewer game. So don't count Russ out just yet.
Boy, that same Russ who threw 3 the other night.
You got through 2 in one game, right?
No mercy.
The Cowboys are reeling after another blowout loss, and their 2-5 record could easily be 0-7 if not for a couple of late-game field goals. Dallas has the worst scoring defense in the league, and Pro Football Focus points out that they also have the lowest graded coverage unit in the NFL. PFF continues to write that Dallas may not win more than one more game the rest of the season. Reggie Bush is back with us. Reggie, what is the biggest reason the Cowboys have been so shockingly bad?
Well, I've always been a firm believer that the personality of a team is followed by its head coach. So we're seeing the personality of Mike McCarthy in this team play out right now. And listen, I play for one of the most compatible coaches in the history of the game, and that's Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll has been absolutely compatible with all of his players in any era, no matter what the era is. And I think we're seeing a big disconnect between Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys and Mike Nolan and that defense. And that's why you see some players who've played for these guys come out and defend them because they say, well, he was a great coach when I played for him. But how long ago was that, right? And the game is always evolving. The game is always changing. So Jerry Jones hired Mike McCarthy based on this Super Bowl that he won a decade ago. But that was so long ago. A lot has changed. Again, the game has evolved. Players have changed, right? You got to be able to understand these players, what drives them, what keeps their attention, right? You got to be able to understand social media, pop culture, what kind of music they listen to, because the head coach, it's his job to be the ultimate people person. You got to understand what drives the brains and the minds of your players. And if you don't understand that, well, then all those X's and O's, you can throw those out the window, right? All those analytics that you see Mike McCarthy standing up, talking about, preaching over after some of these games in his press game conferences, analytics is not going to help him or save him in this moment because the players don't believe in him. They don't trust him, right? And when you're telling me to do some things in practice, and then I go out there on Sunday and we are getting shredded, right? We're getting shredded on game day. Well, then I lose faith and trust in what you're telling me. And then we also don't even connect from a social standpoint. So now you just have this big gap between players and the coaches. And that's what we're seeing happening right now.
You said something very interesting in the last segment. You said Tom Brady allowed Coach Belichick to do things that probably he wouldn't be able to get away with. Yep. You do realize who Mike McCarthy's quarterback was for a decade that he was there? Aaron Rodgers allowed Mike McCarthy. Skip, we realize he had some very poor defenses. Aaron Rodgers went 15-1 in a season in which they had the 31st or 32nd ranked defense. They ended up losing in the division, the playoffs to Eli. Eli came to Lambeau Field and dropped 37 on them because the defense was so bad. And I get it. I get all that, what you're saying about you have to understand the players. You look at Coach Belichick. Coach Belichick is one that seems to evolve. They're playing Lil Baby. They're playing Da Baby. They're playing Migos. They're playing all this. They're playing all these rappers because that's what resonates with these youthful players now. But at the end of the day, I can coach you technique. I can coach you that. I can coach you your alignment. I can't coach effort. I can't coach you what DK Metcalf did. I can't coach that. And that's what I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing the effort. If I got to set the edge, I can't let my outside arm get captured. If I got force, I got to come downhill with authority no matter what. And I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing Antonio Gibson hit his head on the goalpost on a 14-yard run, and nobody touches him. He can run in the A-gap, or he could have just said, you know what, I don't even want to do the A today. I want to cut it backside and hit the B-gap. And nobody would have touched him. That's unacceptable. It's easy to say, well, the coaches and this scheme doesn't fit what I do. But at the end of the day, you still have a job to do, and they're not doing it. Sure, maybe they're not, maybe Mike McCarthy isn't the right guy for the job. Maybe Mike Nolan isn't the right guy. Maybe they got 4-3 people and he wants to play a 3-4. But at the end of the day, Reggie, you know how this thing works. Did you or did you not get the job done? That's all I need to know. Did you or did you not? Hey, I understand it. I just need just give me a healthy baby. I understand you're gonna have pains and the heartburn and all that, but I need that healthy baby. I need the Cowboys to give me healthy play on defense.
Yeah. So Sean, I think you made such a great point with the play that DK Metcalf made in that game, running down the defender who was going to score a pick six. That shows you that the energy, the personality of that team follows its head coach. Because we were doing those same things when I was at USC under Pete Carroll. We were making effort plays like that. But those effort plays have to come from the motivation of your head coach.
So, Reggie, how did Sean Payton, your first pro coach, rank in compatibility?
Really good. Sean was really good. And he was, I mean, our first year, you got to understand, the New Orleans Saints in 2006 were not the New Orleans Saints in 2005. Those were two completely different football teams. But when Sean Payton got there, he completely shifted the mindset. It was just the mindset. He didn't recreate football. He shifted the mindset of the players. He brought in some new guys like me, Drew Brees, some other players, and then helped us and then got us there to that point. But I thought Sean Payton did a great job. And he's still winning football games. He's still a great coach. So that shows you his compatibility. He understands his players.
I agree. So let's hark back to preseason when all the sites, all the pro football focused type sites ranked the Dallas Cowboys as a top 5 team, consensus pick to win the NFC East. So by all accounts, the talent was there, but there were 2 new voices at the top, the 2 Mikes, McCarthy, Nolan. For whatever reason, starting with game 1, opening drive out here at brand new SoFi Stadium on a Sunday night, the Rams offense went 7 plays, 75 yards for an opening touchdown. They went ahead 7-0, and my team basically stayed behind the whole rest of the way through 7 games. And it got worse and worse and worse to the point that against Arizona and then at Washington, my team just flat out quit on the head coach and on the new DC. And it's hard to watch, but I have to blame both the new voices because they don't just coach old school. To Reggie's point, they just coach old. You know, their mindsets are just old. They are completely disconnected from this whole team. This team has rejected their teaching, their beliefs. They don't trust, that they don't respond to. They just flat out have quit. And there's too much talent in that locker room, even without Dak, for this team to just roll over and play dead for 2 straight games.
They really, see, and that's the thing. Because Pro Football Focus said this was the sixth most talented roster in football, the third most talented offense in football, the 15th most talented. Is that team really that talented? Because we made that because it was Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett's not tough enough. All he does is clap. He missed a clap. Okay, you got rid of Jason Garrett. Chris Richard, that defense is just too fundamental. You just line up in single high safety. You play the Rob Alert. Rod Marinelli, you lost touch. Okay, we changed coaching staffs. Now, the only thing that's the same are those players, and the results are worse. So you're going to get another coach, and you keep those same players, and then it gets even worse. So at what point do we hold the players accountable? Because they're still cashing checks, but they're not giving me the production that warrant the kind of payday that they're getting.
Sharp, let me make this one point, because when you look at Mike Vrabel, right? Mike Vrabel understands his players, and the players understand him, right?
Yes.
That's the reason why a guy like him can step in, and the team right away excels because the energy is there. They want to play for him, right? Steve Kerr is another great example, right? Sean McVay with the Los Angeles Rams. He's another great example of somebody who steps in, understands his team, right? They're using checks. Halle Berry's a check. Barack Obama is one of the checks that the quarterback's yelling out. That kind of stuff resonates with the players. Now, I'm not saying that's what wins you football games. Please, that is not what we're saying right now. But when it comes down to the energy, the passion, the fight, right? I mean, we can look at just one play in that game. One play describes the entire team of the Dallas Cowboys, and that's when Andy Dalton got hit in the head and none of the players jumped on Bostic. That told me everything I needed to know from just watching one play.
You watched the Rams last night on that 4th and 1. When Cordell Patterson caught that ball and Jalen Ramsey stood up at 210 pounds, a 325-pound offensive tackle, and you watch Lewis hold that edge. When you set the edge or basically keep contained, man, them Jones get right the edge on the Cowboys anytime they want to. From Odell to Kyler Murray to Antonio Gibson to Kyle Allen. It doesn't matter the player. They're giving up the edge left and right. That's not coaching. That's guys not doing their responsibility.
Yeah. Yep.
No mercy. Don't miss the debut of the Spring League, an elite professional football development league featuring some of the biggest names from the top college programs in the country. It all starts tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Former LSU and Tennessee Titans quarterback Zach Mettenberger is in action tonight. So are you guys excited to check this out? More football.
Well, Skip, hopefully we can get a developmental league that can develop. Because remember the World League and some of the best players, Kurt Warner came out of that league. Brad Johnson came out of that league. So hopefully this league can develop players and get an opportunity to play at the next level.
Hey, I'm excited. I need a new football team to root for.
Yeah. No.
You do need
be
a
the
new
Cowboys.
team.
You ain't rooting for nobody but the Cowboys.
I feel like you should full-on commit to the Spring League, Skip. This might be more successful for you. Hopefully not as frustrating either. It debuts tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern on FS1. Let's move on to talk about another one of your favorites, LeBron James. A lot of people in NBA circles continue to point to the bubble as a reason LA's latest ring isn't legit. But on Friday, Heat president Pat Riley said the Lakers title has an asterisk associated with it because the Heat were without key players, Bam Adebayo and Goran Dragic, during the series. Riley later clarified his comments and did admit the Lakers were the better team. However, Lakers VP Rob Pelinka went on Woj's podcast and dismissed all of the above, saying that the championship doesn't have an asterisk, but rather a gold star.
Whoa.
Shannon, does Riley have a point?
I'm thinking about platinum star if I'm a Rob Pelinka. Pat, come on, Pat. Pat has been around the game, Skip, 40-plus years. He knows better than this. Nobody said Golden State had an asterisk when Kyrie and Kevin Love was out. Nobody said Toronto had an asterisk when KD missed. Nobody said Jordan had an asterisk when Byron Scott and James Worthy got injured. Nobody said that. I'm noticing every time old GOAT James gets an accomplishment that somebody tries to find a way to diminish what he's done. We've never done this in the history. Injuries are a part of it, Skip. You know that. Isaiah got hurt against the Lakers. Nobody said they got an asterisk. Why they do this to GOAT James? Why do people try to minimize this? It's befuddling to me. Now, I'm going to need some of the greatest scholars of our generation, and maybe in the future, I will need them to study this. like they did the Pythagorean theory, I'm going to need this study. Why is it that when GOAT James did something, LeBron Ramon James, born December 30th, 1984, to Gloria, why would they do this? Why would they try to diminish this man, Skip? In the bubble, there's a reason why you're guys like Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. Because think about it, Duncan Robinson had the second greatest rookie performance in a playoff game in NBA history behind Magic Johnson. Do we believe that if they had to travel, he could have done this? So you got some benefits from playing in this bubble also. And I understand he tried to caveat it by saying, I'm talking about the injuries to Bam and to Dragic. But are we to say if they're there that Jimmy Butler's going to give us those historic performances? Don't do that, Pat. You played too long. You've played, you coach, you've been an executive. You know injuries are a part of this. Don't try to diminish this man. Don't do that.
Shannon, Pat Riley despises LeBron James. LeBron James left him high and dry.
The culture, he
suddenly
culture.
Said, I'm going home.
I'm going home.
Yeah.
Tell the world.
He left Dwayne Wade high and dry because he thought Dwayne had dried up as a player.
D-Wade's a big boy. He
Both
okay.
knees were balking, and Dwayne said, well, I got to suck it up, and I'm still going to stay close with LeBron because Dwayne's loved LeBron, and I think he wanted to keep the alliance going into their post-careers because it'd be good for Dwayne.
Skip, the man fulfilled his obligation 4 years.
And it wasn't until the 11th hour that he suddenly drops the bombshell on Pat Riley. I'm out. I'm leaving you. And remember, Pat Riley was stuck and he had to overpay Chris Bosh to keep him there. It was a disaster because LeBron just left them in a shambles.
Remember, Pat Riley runs his team. He didn't want to give LeBron the access that he had in Cleveland. So do it your way. We hit it with the 22s. Out of here.
You did, because LeBron wanted all of his inner circle to have access to the team playing.
Do you want it? Do you want us? Do you want this? Yes or no?
Pat Riley wanted this finals so bad he could taste it like fine wine in Miami. And he knows what happened. He lost his leading playoff scorer, Goran Dragic, in game one. He lost his heart and soul player, Bam, in game one, and he never was the same the rest of the way. Yeah. And he just says, asterisk. And then he backtracked and said, well, put the asterisk on our side, not on the Lakers side. But you know and I know what he wanted to do. He wanted to hang it right on your forehead, a big old asterisk.
You see what he's trying to do here? Now, look, you understand when you take on LeBron, there are some things that come along with LeBron. You know, Randy Mims, he's his right-hand personal guy. He's going to probably need to be there on the
he could roll with Randy, but then it was Maverick, then it was Rich.
Okay, you understand that. Skip.
Then it was Shannon.
Skip, let me tell you what happens. Skip, when I was in college, there's this girl was walking by. I saw her for like a month, Skip. She's walking across. Nobody said a word to her. Then all of a sudden, I said, I told my roommate, I said, that's going to be my girlfriend. So we started talking. She says, well, I want to tell you something. I said, so what's up? She said, I have a child. I said, I don't care anything about that. I said, I understand that. That's a part of you. I accept that. When you take that guy on.
But did she accept you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Skip Baylor.
It sounded like we didn't get to the punchline of that story.
Skip. They wanted Shay. You had to understand that I'm Shay Sharp. I'm Shay.
Who remains single.
No, I'm not. See, there you go. See, this is what I do. I keep my stuff under wraps. Single. I'm not, but that's neither here nor there.
All right.
When you sign that guy, you know what comes along with him, Skip.
Now back to your man, Rob Pelinka.
Yeah.
Gold star, my you-know-what.
No, platinum.
How about a lucky star?
No, Skip.
They avoided the team that would have taken them down, the team in the basement. The Clippers.
You gagged.
They avoided. It's a big old asterisk. No, Clippers. I told you when I gave you the cubic zirconia ring that you deserve, that it had to be inscribed inside the ring. Asterisk, no Clippers.
It's not my fault. Y'all had 15 Popeyes biscuits with nothing to drink. You gagged. That's what happened. Now, it's not our fault.
Those biscuits are so good, I think they'd go down without liquid.
No, they don't. No. Skip. Why y'all
melt in your mouth?
Yeah, why y'all try to do this to my guy? Why y'all keep trying to take my guy? Skip, you keep talking about Tom Brady joining the Buccaneers. My guy went to the Lakers, hadn't been to the playoffs in how long? You laughed at him. You talking about he coming to be Michael B. Jordan. Oh, Rob Parker out here, key. He gonna be a 6'8" Kevin Hart.
And what happened the first year?
He can't. Oh, whoa. The first year. So did he retire?
No playoffs happened. No playoffs. He was going Michael B. Jordan because he's going to do Space Jam 2.
Did it?
What?
And guess what happened?
There's only one Space Jam.
And guess what happened? Just like he shot Space Jam last offseason and won the title, just like the previous guy shot Space Jams and won that title, which I told you was going to happen.
It was a bubble title. It was a COVID championship. You know it, and I know it, because even the great Jared Dudley, my friend, said on a podcast just a couple of weeks back, those boys, meaning the Clippers, those boys didn't want to be in no bubble because they didn't. They didn't want to go in the first place.
They want that fire.
So the only place LeBron was going to win a championship was in the bubble. He went just gung-ho. He was all in on the bubble from day one.
Hold on. If I play basketball and this is okay, the title is still up for grabs. Because I watched the trophy. It looked like the Larry O'Brien trophy to me. And the one that he got, the little minimum about 2 feet tall, that looked like the Bill Russell trophy to me. Now, that's what it looked like to me now. Are those fake? Y'all keep led by you. This is all you that's been leading this charge, trying to diminish my guy. But you know, Skip, you only make us stronger because that fuels us. We're going to get another one next year.
Yep. This championship was as fake as the color of LeBron's beard, which was gray for a while, and then it went jet black.
You a hater. I don't care what anybody says. You a hater. Ain't that fake. That's okay. Bron.
Look at that beard.
That's what I'm saying. Okay.
That's your championship
That beard oil. That's that beard oil.
I don't think anyone can see.
You a hater, Skip, baby. You're such a hater.
Yeah.
Truth
you guys
teller.
don't do anything to the color of your hair. I'm not calling anyone out.
No, I ain't did nothing to mine.
You can't critique LeBron for that. He's getting a little older.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, just a little bit. He ain't gonna. Look at the hair. Head full of hair.
Yep.
You get out a head full of hair.
Yep. It's growing.
Getting younger and younger by the day.
You a hater.
No mercy.
The SEC admitted Monday they should have given more of a review on a late kickoff in the Auburn-Ole Miss game. The kickoff appeared to graze an Auburn player's hand before going into the end zone, but the play was ruled a touchback instead of a fumble. Auburn went on to score the game-winning touchdown, and Ole Miss coach Lane Kiffin was obviously not happy about the incident and retweeted a post critical of SEC officials after the game that cost him a $25,000 fine. So, Shannon, should Kiffin have been fined here?
Skip, I get it. You don't want to find him, but I wouldn't have fined him because they made an error. They should have reviewed that play. The ball hit that guy.
It hit his hand.
It hit his hands. It's as simple as that.
Changed the game.
So in other words, you're going to fine me for your egregious error. If you'd have just done, why not? You had nothing to lose at that point. Let's send that up to the replay booth. Let's make sure we get this right. You review everything else. You review targeting. We're going to see if he made the catch and all that. You could have reviewed that. But I guess the SEC don't really like you, Lane Kiffin. I think that's their way of saying we don't like you. We're not going to review this play. And so, no, he should not have been fined. I get it. You know, you don't want them criticizing the officials. But it was your error that led to him being critical. I can see if Skip, he's like, well, we got this many penalties against us and they only had 5 or 6. I get all that. But something like this that was this egregious that should have been reviewed, no, they should rescind the fine. And if he does pay him in pennies, like he said, he just got the math wrong of how many pennies it's going to take.
Look, I really like Lane Kiffin. I know him a little bit off camera. He's smart. He's funny. I get a kick out of him. The truth is, he belongs on a show like this where he could just leave coaching behind and just shoot from the lip and be all over social media, doing whatever he wanted to do.
Correct.
He was so right about making the point he got robbed and he got jobbed in that game. But Shannon, he's so wrong to retweet what he retweeted because it's just a blatant violation of the rule.
Yeah.
The rule just says you cannot publicly criticize any officiating, whether it's an error or not. You cannot do it. It's
Yes.
like in sickness or in health.
Right.
You just can't do it.
Right.
Well, they blew it, and he knew it, and he wants to defend himself because they've fallen now. Ole Miss has fallen to 1-4 in his first go around.
They get back on the right track against Vanderbilt.
Oh, well, thanks a lot. That's really tough. And we are COVID racked. We can barely put a team on the field.
Hello. You were just
If you want to play us a baseball game, we'll play you tomorrow.
Hold on. Ole Miss used to have a nice little baseball squad.
Yeah, well,
not like Mississippi State.
Not like Vanderbilt. Not like Vanderbilt.
Mississippi State had a better team than you did.
The point is, you have to fine him because he violated the rule.
Yeah.
And you can't say, well, we'll make an exception here because we blew it first. It just doesn't matter that you blew it first. You know it, and I know it. You have to observe this rule. You cannot open Pandora's box, or Mike Leach is going to go off on you, and you'll say, well, we won't fine you because you deserve it.
So I just, if I'm Lane Kiffin, I just need to know what plays moving forward are you going to review? Something as egregious as this. Why not just review it, Skip? They review even the little ticky-tack stuff.
Because they did not see that the ball nicked his finger. And you can see it on replay, and especially the one angle that we had. So I get that. They blew it, and it really did turn the game.
Yes.
Because Auburn then just goes the other way and goes and scores, and you lose because of that blunder. I don't know. They review everything in college football. It's hard. I watch every Oklahoma game, and I'm just like, when is this going to end?
Right.
It's like Jenny knows they're 4 hours long. Everyone, because they stop and review everything, and then an obvious review does not take place, and it costs him a game.
Exactly.
Well, he made it clear. He made it known. He should have made it known, but you can't do it that way.
So what way should they have done it? That y'all cost me a game?
Oh, you can pull your reporters aside and tell them off the record, hey, do you realize we got robbed?
No, I need y'all to know this. I need the NCAA. Skip, because, you know, the thing is with NCAA, they always trying to take money from somebody. They ain't never wanting to get no money out to anybody. They just want to take money in. Well, I'm going to fine you from this. Or the players, you can't get that. But the coaches, y'all can get off. No. You were wrong. You probably cost this man a game because they were up by 1, and they're going to get the ball. That was the touchdown, because I think they jumped on it in the end zone.
They did.
So now we're up. No, you can't do that, Skip. You can't be in the wrong and then get mad at me because I told you were wrong. That happens a lot of time. You know, I'm telling you you're wrong. You get, what you talking about? You wrong. That's what I'm talking about. You are wrong.
Wait, you're saying I'm wrong?
Yeah, you get like
I have never been wrong one time in the history of this show.
What about the Cowboys?
When was that?
What the Cowboys?
Well, that wasn't my fault.
Yeah. Oh, see, there you go.
Like Ernestine always says, you can't control what they do.
Well, you think she can because you blew up at her on Sunday.
Yeah.
You already getting the brakes beat out of you. She just come in the room with Skip. She trying to cheer you up.
She controls the fate of my football team with her jinxes. She knows it, and I know
that
it.
on Ernestine.
You only know Ernestine 15 years.
That's
what happened to
fair.
previous 10?
Exactly.
When they were losing, get the brakes beat off them.
Jeez.
Well, we won a lot of championships.
She's trying to help, Skip. You need to pay attention.
Yeah,
She's trying to help
Super
you.
Bowl. Yeah.
No mercy.
Did you hear what happened to his D coordinator, Mike Nolan? Well, he has been feeling the heat all year, and yesterday was no different. Nolan had to stop his conference call yesterday after accidentally rubbing hot sauce in his eye. Yes, you heard that right. We're not supposed to touch our face. It's COVID season. Shannon, what was your reaction when you saw this?
You want to respond first, Skip?
It's not good. Not good.
I guess that is just the way it's been going, Skip. I mean, of all the things that could have gone wrong, and if someone would have told you this happened and you didn't see it happen, you would have never believed it.
No.
But because
I
it happened,
still don't believe it.
It happened on Zoom, you saw it.
I told you Sunday was the most humiliating day I have ever suffered through in all my years of being a Cowboy fan, dating to 1961. Against our arch rival, we quit in the first quarter of the game and hit rock bottom, all-time bottom. I've already called for this man's job, Mike Nolan, and then I had to sit and watch his live Zoom in which he somehow has Tabasco sauce on his finger. This is impossibly bad. And he sticks it in his eye, and then he can't continue. I can't even discuss.
You can't make it up.
Yeah, I couldn't make it up because then I had the rest of the day to sift through the internet jokes because everybody had a bad joke about it because it was so bad. It was impossibly bad, and he should have been fired on the spot right there. Jerry should have come down out of his office and said, "You're done.
It was an accident.
You're done."
I mean, we've all had things where, we shouldn't touch our face or shouldn't touch our eyes, and I get that.
In the
but
time of COVID, you can't touch your face anyway,
Skip,
right?
Sometimes, it itches. You just gotta scratch it.
Well, what was he eating? Wings, I guess? Is that what you're doing before you do a Zoom call in which you're going to get barbecued by the media?
We remember that's how they used to have to give the dogs hot sauce or black pepper to make them mean. So they would eat mean.
Great.
The D coordinator, the defense was eating black pepper and hot sauce to get fired up for this week.
Well, he was, but he should be fired out. He should just be fired.
This is karma for us for making fun of him. We all need to be careful. I'm actually kind of worried. That is it for Undisputed, guys. Thanks for watching. We're back at the same time tomorrow morning. Remember to wash your hands.